Okay, so good evening once again. I'm going to share my screen now, then we can we can see my screen. Okay, so let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. So yesterday we actually did Python, and today we'll be doing something different, which is Java. Then I just want to point out like most programming languages, they are very similar. The only differences they have is just the syntaxes and how they actually do their thing. But most of the things we learned yesterday, all the basics we learned yesterday, like strings, like variables, conditional statements, function, and all that, they all have the same thing. Even data type, they all have the same thing. It's just some little things that are different. So today we'll be talking about Java, and Java is like let me just write something out. Intro. So Java is just like it's an object-oriented language. So it's a computer language. It's a language used to program the computer to make the computer work based on the instructions given to the computer. So it's an object-oriented language, and it is used to develop mobile applications like Android applications, web apps, desktop apps, games, and a lot of stuffs like that. And the first thing you have to check is to check if you have Java installed. And I shared the link in the group where to download Java from. It's something you can just go to Google and just Google search download Java, right? So if you just do download Java, so you'll be able to download the Java to your system depending on which system you are using. If it is Mac or Windows or what have you, so you can just go there, then download Java, and you are good to go. So we will not be covering the download process tonight because that's a different thing entirely. So we just go straight into the basics. So moving forward, the first thing you have to do before you can start any programming exercise or any programming processes, you have to download the particular programming tools you want to use. Like yesterday, we talked about Python, how to download Python, install Python, and all. So today we are using Java, which means you are using a different environment for your coding, like entirely, right? So the first thing is you have to download Java, you have to install all the Java tools and all that you are going to need to execute your program. So after downloading Java, you have to confirm like whatever thing you've downloaded works. So how do you confirm if you've actually downloaded Java and it's working? Like we did yesterday. Yesterday we did I gave us Python 3 version, then this brings the version. So as for me, presently I'm using version 3.9.6. That is for Python. But today, since we are doing Java, so I need to check if Java is installed on my system. And how do I do that? I do Java dash version, and I click on this, and it brings some things for me. So this shows like I have Java running on my system, running on my laptop, right? And yesterday I made mention of terminals or command line interfaces. So as for me, because I'm using Mac, I'll be using terminal, but on Windows you have something different. So if you're using Mac, just go to your applications and just search for terminal, right? It's going to give you terminal here. Then you can now, use it. And like I said yesterday, my preferred text editor is Visual Studio Code, right? At least for the sake of this, because we are not doing something very heavy. It's just for learning purposes and all. So I don't really need something very huge. So I'm using Visual Studio Code. And for Visual Studio Code, your terminal comes inbuilt, and it's something you can access easily. Just come down, then drag this. There is a line at the bottom here. Drag it up, and you have access to your terminal. Sorry, I'm okay. So I drag this up now, then I have access to my terminal, right? So my terminal, I just typed Java dash version, and this gives me some responses, which means I have Java installed on my system, right? So this might be different depending on the version you downloaded on your own system. It might be different. So back to the main topic. In Java, every application begins with a class name, and that class name must match the file name. So I think the first thing now is we have to create our first Java file. So how do you create a Java file? Like yesterday, I showed us how to create a Python file, which I told us like it will have an extension of .py, which means Python, and your computer is going to see this as a Python program and is going to run it accordingly as a Python file. So for Java, we are going to do the same thing. So, and some things might be slightly different when you are working in a Java environment. It has some rules, it has some guidelines you have to like obey. You don't have any choice, you just have to obey them. So let's create our own file, and I'll just, at least for the sake of this, I'll just say my file is main.java, and I'm going to explain all this. And if you check in my own Visual Studio Code, after renaming .java, you can see the icon changes to, at least some of us, like we are familiar with all these Java phones back in the days. This icon is supposed to look familiar. When you launch a game on your Java phone, like in the early 2000s, you'll see something very similar to this, right? So let me just zoom out. So when I created my file, I got this. So let me just point this out. You can create your Java file in any text editor or IDE. You can create it in any text editor or IDE. So when I've created my Java file. I don't actually need this. It's bringing this, okay, automatically. I don't know why. So I've created my Java file, and let me just write a code out, and I'm going to explain what the code means, right? So let me just do static, then void, then main, then okay, let's do string. Then this is going to be arguments, and there's a block of code, and inside there I have system. So don't worry, I'm going to explain everything just like I did yesterday for our, what's it called, our Python stuff, right? So in here I'll just say hello, hello my fellow MIT students, right? So oh, sorry, I made a mistake here, right? So like I said, don't worry about all these all these jargons that you are seeing here. So I'm going to explain everything in details. So in our terminal, I have to run this code because I want to print out something to the terminal. I want to print out hello my fellow MIT students. So how do I do that? So I just have to type in javac then main.java. If you remember yesterday when we want to like run Python file, we did Python 3, the name of the file and the extension. So tonight I want to run this Java file. So I'm doing javac, which is the command from Java, and I'm doing main.java, which is the name and the extension of my file, which is this, right? So javac is going to, like, let me just run this first so that we are going to see. So what happens? Oops, something is happening. Oh, so the error here is stating that it cannot find this file, and it is because I'm in a folder which is MIT, the root folder. I need to go into this study group before I can access that. So let me just do cd study group. I want to enter into that directory, and here what do I have? Then cd java, right? So I need to run my code again, and let's see. So I ran the code, and after running the code, something appears on the left hand side here. But don't worry, we're still going. I'm going to explain what this means later. Then I do java, and you can see hello my IT student. So let's do something else. Hello my colleagues. I want to be sure. Hello my colleagues. So it's one of the reasons why Java is sometimes yeah. So I have hello my colleagues. So which means this is working now. So like I said the other time, I need to explain what is actually happening here. Like we have a lot of syntaxes here, a lot of jargons, and it can be, what can I say? You'll be looking at it and be like, what's this? So let's explain this. The first line here, public class main, it defines a class called main. So in Java, the code that you want to run needs to be inside a special section called a class, which is this section called a class. And now we are calling our class. We gave it a name. If you remember yesterday, I told us like in Python, if you want to like have a function, you have to have the name of the function. So in this, we are calling it a class which has a name of main, right? And there is something about Java. Java is case sensitive, which means if I do, let's say I do something like my name, right? Let me do my name and my name. These are different things entirely. Java is case sensitive, right? So they have these two, despite the fact that they are the same in terms of calling them, but because they are different casing, that means they are different. They have different meanings, right? So, and another thing you have to pay attention to when it comes to Java is the name of this class, right, must be the same name with the main. So let's say I want to do read one.
I'm so sorry, Sunday. I'm so sorry for cutting you short. Please, could you all these things that you said, could you put them in a comment, like yesterday, so that thank you very much.
Okay, that might slow us down, right? But then I'll be doing comments, like, so that we So where do I start from? So I said this first line, I don't have to comment this. So this first line, public class main, it defines a class called main, right? Then I said in Java, the code you want to run has to be inside this class. So it has to be inside something called class. And in this file, we are calling our class main. And like I said, Java is case sensitive. So don't worry. I think anyway I need to put what's it called? I'll be doing that. So here, the word public means that other parts of your code can access it. Okay, let me just do that. Public means other parts of your code can access it. Yeah. So this is what public means. But you don't have to worry about this for now, right? Like I said, it's something like, don't worry, everything is going to get clear later, because I don't want us to feel overwhelmed already, right? So, and after you've done your class, you've defined your class, the next thing is just to write your code inside the class, and So one thing you have to keep in mind is
Sorry,
that.
please, I want to quickly ask. That mean, can it be something else?
Yes.
Because
Okay, I wanted to do something. I wanted to do something before the person actually.
Because so many of the tutorials have been seen on Java. It's always this main.
Okay, let's do something. Let's say I want to do read one.java. You can see it. You have read one.java. Then I can have other things there. But one thing you have to pay attention to is this class name must be the same as your file name, and it must start with capital letter. I don't know if that's clear.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So if it doesn't, if you give it another name, let's say I just did I name it read one, and I did Tolu here, it's going to throw an error. You can see it's already throwing an error, shouting at me like the public type Tolu must be defined in its own file. Right? This actually doesn't make sense. Like, what do you mean by in its own file? But what this means basically is the Tolu must be in its own file, like Tolu.java. So that is what it means. So it can be anything, because you are seeing main in almost all, because that's what can I say? Like, it's just the default. Like, everybody is used to main. So that is that about that. I've explained this. The next thing is this particular line. So this particular line, which is public static void main string blah blah blah, right? So this is part of the code where our Java program starts running. The main method here, which is the name of the method, right, needs to be written exactly like like the way it is there for the program. For here we are using capital letter, and for here we just have small letter. So it can be anything, but for now, just for peace to reign, right, it can be made. but sorry for that. In most in Java files, you have to have this main, which is going to be like the entry point, right? So the main method is going to it is required, and if Java code is running and it can't find that main method, it's going to throw an error, right? So like I said the other time, public means any code, any part of your code can access this particular block of code. That's what it means. Then static means that you can run this code without creating an instance of the class, which is the main. Don't worry, a lot of jargons, but with time everything is going to get clear, right? Then this void means that this particular method is not returning any value. It's not returning any value. Like I said, still don't worry about that. We'll get to that. Like, what does it mean when a method is returning something? So then this main here is the name of the method. Like everybody has a name. I'm an entity and my name is read one. So if they want to call me, they call me read one, and I can perform any action. Like I actually explained this yesterday using functions, right? So and there is another thing here, which is string, this brackets, args, and all that. So string arguments, this args means arguments, and it's just like you want this main method to, you want to pass some values into this particular method. Like I said, I'm just giving us a vague explanation for now, but when we start practical stuff, you are going to understand how everything comes together. So this is just saying this is an array of string, so we are going to use it later so that you can understand. And the next thing is this line, and this line is saying system out println hello my colleagues, right? So this system in Java, there's something called system, which is like it's like a box that has tools inside, and it holds some useful methods and variables like that can be used. Then we have this out. So inside this particular box called system, there's something there called out. Out can be seen like a short form of output. So output, like you want the system to output something. I think that's a good analogy. You want the system to output something, right? So this out, it allows us to show something on the screen. Then we have println, right? So within this out, we still have another tool called println. And this println allows you to print something. This is just making some sense, like print out something from the system. Right? So this particular particular line here allows you to print something onto the screen. Like we see the other time when I ran the code, it's printed hello my colleagues onto the screen, right? And you can add as many as printout statements here. I can add as many as possible, like as many as I want, and everything is going to get let me just do, I don't want to be rewriting this often and often. Sorry, I want to change my commands. Don't worry, I can explain what I'm doing later. So you can see it's printed out hello my colleagues as many times as possible. So which means you can print out anything you want as many times as possible, right? Not just this. So that's the first thing. But like I said, I know I've been seeing a lot of jargons, but when we start the practical steps, you see how everything comes together to start.
So that X before that hello, what does it mean? That X?
Actually, I think it's my what's it called? Bringing this. It's my test editor.
Okay.
It's my test editor. It's kind of gray and it cannot be highlighted. It's my test editor.
Well, because when I try to run it, it's showing error.
Sorry, don't use it though. I don't know. I think I activated something for some other things and it's coming here to disturb. But it's not me that wrote it. It's my test editor. So yeah, I'm sorry for that. Right. So that is that about that. Then let's move on to because I want us to finish as soon as possible. So the next thing we are going to be talking about today are going to be comments. Right? That's how we started yesterday with Python, because we need to understand comments. On a normal day I shouldn't have be coming back to say all this because we did it yesterday, but for the sake of people that are just joining us, and also to let you know like things might be different in Python versus in Java. So I'm going to open this Python code to the side so that we can be comparing. This is what we did yesterday, right? So in Java, okay. So in Java we have comments. And what are comments? Comments are used to explain code. It makes your code more readable. Like I said yesterday, you can program some things and you come back maybe after a month or so and you'll be wondering like, what did I do there? Like, what was I thinking? You might even be finding it difficult to understand what you yourself you did. But if you've added comments, so comments are just there to help you in the future. Like, okay, I said 1 + 1 should give me 11 here. Okay, I have a reason for that, and the comment is actually showing me the reason. So the comments makes your code readable. And like I said yesterday, the program, like Java program or any program, is not going to execute your comments. Comments are just there, just for you, or maybe you want to have some other people maintain your code, so they can easily come in and understand what is actually going on in your code base. So in Java, we have 2 ways of writing comments. Like I said yesterday, in Python, if you want to write comments, single line comments, you have to start with hash. But in Java, we write, like you've seen the examples already. If you want to write comments, you use // for writing single comments. So if I do // this is a single line comment, right? So that is that with that. And even you can use your keyboard. There is a shortcut. So if I say this is my new comment. So if I want to make this a comment, I'll just highlight it and I'll just do command / and I have that already. Then we have the next one, which is multi-line comments. Multi-line comments. So it's possible you have to write a lot of comments and all that. Maybe you are trying to explain some things. It's possible in Java. So how do you do that? In Python, I already showed us this how to do it. You use quotes, 3 quotes at the beginning, 3 quotes at the end. Then you have multi-line. So, but in Java, we are doing it differently. You have // You can see it. So then I can write this is multiple line comments. I know the question will be, what is the difference? This is another line. Yeah, another line. But if you are using single comments, once I press enter here, it's not obeying that already because it's just a single line. But multi-line, so far I'm pressing enter, I have multiple times, I have the opportunity to write my comments as much as I like. But just make sure it's in between this syntax, the // and */. So that is that about comments. And the next thing we have to talk about now is like we did yesterday. Let me just follow this. So let's talk about variables. So I think the best thing for me is to creating different files so that we can, then I'll share the files with us. Let me just do it here. So the next thing we have to talk about now are variables, right? I explained yesterday what variables are. So variables are like containers storing data values. Right? Yes, they are like containers storing data values and they have a label. So let me put it that way. So there are different types of in Java, there are different types of variables and data types, just like we have it in any other programming languages like Python. Yesterday we are doing string, we have a variable name, we have a number and all that. But in Java, the way we do things are kind of different, right? So we have variables and we have data types. So I'm going to be handling both of them together at once so that it's going to like make sense at once. And we don't have to come back and repeat ourselves. So in Java, we have 2 types of data types. We have the primitive data type. Let me just do primitive data types, and we have the non-primitive data types. So the primitive data types have examples like integer, they have float, they have double, they have boolean, they have char, they have a lot. And the non-primitive types, they have something like string, they have arrays, and what else? I think classes, I think objects too, classes and all, right? And so let's take this one, string. Let's talk about string like we did here yesterday. Yeah, we talk about strings here. Don't worry, all these ones we are still going to talk about them, but I just want to handle them together at once. So let's talk about strings. So yesterday I told us like strings are just like words. Yes, I have it already. They're just like words. They are like tests. So you can call them words or tests, like such as okay, let me say they are words or tests like unilag. This is a string. Like okay, Ridwan, which is my name. This is a string. So and strings are always surrounded by double quotes. Like you can see, you have your words inside and you have the double quotes at the beginning and at the end of the string. So that is string. Then another data type we need to talk about is integer. Yep. Let's talk about integer. So integers they store whole numbers. So this stores, okay, is it integer? Let me just do not integer. It is int actually, not integer. So let me say integers here so that we understand. So integers store whole numbers. Whole numbers like numbers like you can have 1000, you can have 50, you can have minus 20, but they do not accept decimals. So by whole numbers I mean non-decimal numbers. So that is what integers are. Then we have the next data type, which is float. So float stores floating points. They store floating points. So floating points are numbers with decimals. So like let's say 56.34. This is a floating point. Or you can do minus 23.34. So this is a floating point. Then we have char, which is also a data type. So this char, they store single characters. They store single characters such as let's say A, let's say B. Oh. So there's something I want to explain. These chars, they store single characters, and it's just one character you can add there. You can't add more than one. And unlike strings, they are quoted with single quotes. Unlike strings, right? They are surrounded with single quotes. So let me just put surrounded so that you surrounded with single quotes. So in most cases you might not need this, but in some cases you might need it. Like when you're talking about grading, like exam grading, you have okay, this one got A, this one got B. The only thing you need is just a single letter. So you don't have to be using a string because when you're talking about programming, computing, and all that, you are dealing with memory, and you want to if it is not necessary, you don't have to exhaust your memory, right? So the next data type we'll be talking about are booleans. We actually handled this yesterday. So this one stores values that are true or false. So they store values that are true or false. So we did it yesterday. So one thing that is that makes Java to be different from Python that we did yesterday is that Java is a strong typed language. So which means variables needs to be defined before you can use them. Unlike Python, whereby I just need a name, I just write name equals return and balogun. If I'm doing this in Java, I have to do it in a separate way. So how do you do it? If you want to create a variable in Java, you must first specify. I have to type it. Sorry. you must specify the type and also assign a value to it, right? So it's just like you have to do it this way: the type first, then what else? The variable name, yes, variable name, then equals to your value. So unlike Python, whereby we just do variable name equals value, in Java you have to do type variable name equals value, right? So the variable name can be a string, it can be integer, it can be boolean, it can be anything you want. And the variable name, the type can be int, strings, integer, and booleans. And the variable name is the name that you wish to give it, a label that you wish to give it. And the equal sign is an assignment. You want to assign something to the variable name, right? And the value is just the value, right? So like I said the other...
Can you check your
my which thing?
Background? There's a video playing.
A video playing? In my background? Hello?
I said it looks like a video is playing in your background.
Can you hear any sound or something? I can't, so I don't know. Is any video playing? I don't think so.
It's fine for my end. I can't hear any video.
Yeah, it's not. I don't have any video playing actually. So the meeting is going to end soon. I don't know why, because yesterday we actually had extended time. So immediately it ends, I'm going to share another link. Then I have to be clipping the videos together. So I'm going to share another link. Then we can join, and we have to move very fast actually. So don't worry. So where are we? Okay, like I said the other time, I said strings are used for storing tests. Like you get. So a string variable contains a collection of characters surrounded by double quotes, like I explained the other time. And I think the first thing we have to do now is let's create a string. So if I want to create a string variable in Java, I will do string, then the name of my variable, which is what can we call it? Name, like we did here in Python. I'll just do name equals balogun Ridwan. Yeah, you can see that it's different from the way we have it in why is this? The way we have it in, okay, because I'm actually declaring this outside. So it's different from the way we have it in Python, right? Out. I'll just copy and paste. So I can print this out into my terminal. I'll just do name here. So if I run my code now, so there is something about Java that I'm going to point out. You can see it's showing me that I have an error here. Sure. So the reason why this is showing is because I forgot to add a semicolon at the end of my statement. Unlike Python, we are just traveling, we are just going without anything, we just write our thing, and life is very easy with Python. But with Java, you have to make sure you don't forget it. So you have to add it. So I added the semicolon now, and everything is fine. So let me just run this code again, and let's see what we are going to get. So you can see I have Balogun Ridwan here, right? So after this, let's talk about some operations you can perform on a string, right? So I have my name here. So what are the things I can do? Well, I can find the length. I can find the length of the string. So I'll just comment this out. So if I want to find the length of the string, I can just do my name dot length. So if I do my name dot length, it should print out my name, the length of my name. So let's say I have a lot of words. You see, it's print out 14. And if you count this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, good evening.
Please, I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Please, can you show me how to run the code, because I'm not getting it from my own code. Okay. I have what I'm seeing here is that it's telling me that I should download a particular extension, but I automatically have Java on my system.
So you are using VS Code, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you just download the extension just to make VS Code to work with your Java, and just to make peace reign between your code editor and you. You get? So just download it. So moving on, I think the time is about to. We still have how many minutes left? Or let me just create another link now so that we can, So like I was saying, there are some operations you can perform on a string, like we did yesterday, right? We performed some operations on our string in Python, like checking the length, uppercase, lowercase, and all that. So we are going to do the same thing so that you can compare and see the differences. So let's say I want to get my name in uppercase. In Python, we just did upper, but in Java, we have to do something. We have to do to uppercase, right? To uppercase. So like this. So if I save this now and I run my code, it should turn my name. You can see it has turned my name to uppercase. If I want to do lowercase, I can do the same thing to lowercase. And if I run the code again, it's going to give me my name in lowercase. Then another thing you can see in lowercase. So like we did yesterday, we did concatenation in Python. So in Java, we can also do the same thing. Yeah. So let me just comment this out. So in Java, how do we do concatenation? Like I said, if you want to define your variable, you have to start with the type of the variable. Then let's say I want to do my first name. First name equals to Ridwan, and I want to do string last name equals to Balogun, right? So how do I bring this together? So let me print it out. If I want to bring this together, we can do, without printing, we can do string full name equals first name plus last name. So don't forget what I told you yesterday. This plus sign, depending on the context, right? It could mean different things. When we are dealing with strings, you are telling the computer to concatenate, and I say concatenation means bringing two strings together to form one. So let's just print this out. So I'm just going to copy this. I don't want to be typing it over to save time. So I'll just print out my full name here, and if I run the code now, let's see what's going to bring out. So it's brought out Ridwan Balogun because there is no space here. So let me just concatenate space into this so that I have a space between them. So Ridwan Balogun, right? So these are strings. So if you want to deal with numbers, how do you go about that? If you want to deal with numbers, so dealing with numbers means you have to do instead of string, we'll do int. Then let's say my number, right? So my lucky number is 7, right? So you can print it out. We shouldn't be doing that over and over again. And you can also perform some operations like we did using plus here. So instead of plus, if you are dealing with numbers, plus is going to do addition instead of concatenation. Let's say my second number. Let me just do my second number. Let me give it a descriptive variable name. My second number equals 5. So if I do int sum equals my number plus my second number, and I do, let me print it out. Yeah. So if I print this out and I do sum, it's going to give me the sum of the numbers. So if I run the code now, you can see it gave me 12, which is my first number. And what is inside this first number? And like I said, this is a variable. You are saving this number 7 into this variable, and you are telling the computer that please handle this as an integer because I'm doing integer. So, and second one, you are saving number 5 into this. Save this in your bucket, in your memory. Save number 5 in your memory and save it as. So if I need that number again, I'll just do my second number, and you must give me whatever thing I've saved in it. So here we are now doing sum equals to my number, whatever it is in it, my second number, and we are printing that out here. So the same thing, like we talked about different what's it called, data types. We can do double too. We can do double. So if I want to do double, I'll just do double. Let me say my decimal, right? My decimal equals to let's say 9.5. So if I print this out, oops. So why this? Insert to complete. I've inserted it now. I don't know. Wait, syntax error. Insert to complete block statement. Is there any block statement anywhere else? No. I'm coming. Let me do 5. What does it bring? This is why I don't like. Oh, I've seen the issue. I was calling a song that has already been commented out. Okay, so let's do my decimal in cos 5.6. Wait, oh, this is a int. So let's do double. It's not accepting it. Or is it late? If we do floats. What's wrong? Cannot convert from double to. I'm not converting. Wahala just plenty. And then just do double back. I really don't like Java, like for anything. It's actually a strongly typed, you can see. Or maybe it is my test editor that was misbehaving. It's still the same thing I wrote the other time that is bringing up now. So if I run this code now, I should have 5.6. So, and you can mix numbers and integers and strings together. So I can just do my int num10, right? And I can do string my name equals read one. Then I can mix these two together. I can say let me print it out. I can say my name what's it called, plus a string, my name as plus my name as num plus oranges. So let me just do it. So if I print this out now, I'm mixing both together. So it's going to say read one as 10 oranges, right? So that is that about string and what's it called, and integer and double or floats. So let's talk about Boolean, right? So Boolean is also a data type, and generally in programming, you need a data type that can only have 2 values only, like something like yes or no, something like on and off, something like true or false, something like, yeah, I think that's just it. So in Java has a Boolean data type which can only take these values, true or false values. So we can do something like we did yesterday. We did Boolean, okay, weather. Boolean is raining. Is it raining? You can say false because we are in dry season. So this is a Boolean, right? And what else can we do? You can write as, okay, Boolean is day, like is it day? This is false also because it is night already. And you can do something like if let's do if is day, like, don't worry, we are still going to get to conditional statements, but I know most of us already know this one already. So this conditional statement. So if day prints, let's just print something out. If day, it is day, else prints it is night. So we can do something like this. So if I run this now, let's see what we are going to get. So yeah, it says it is night because is day here, which is a Boolean value, is false, and this condition is not. It has to be true for it to print this out. Else it's going to print this out. But don't worry about this. For the new people that just joined us, we are going to treat this later, right? So that is that about this. I think I have to create a different file now so that we can start from there. So let's talk about conditions. So let me just write a different. Let me just do conditionals. I think this is what we did yesterday. Conditionals.java. So inside this conditional.java, let's talk about conditionals. So like I said earlier on, Java uses Boolean variables to compare conditions. So the Boolean values like true and false, they are returned when an expression is compared, like when you compare something together. For example, let me write like we did there. I'll just do this, and I don't want to be rewriting over and over. So don't worry, I said I'm going to explain this later. Okay, I've explained it the other time. So let's say we have an integer called a, which is equals to 10, and let's say we have a boolean, let's call it let's give it b, and let's say it is equals to let's check if a is equals to 10, right? Or let me just say check, right? So check if a equals to 10. So now if you want to write a conditional statement, we'll do if check is true, then run whatever command that is here. Sorry, I have to copy this. I don't want to be typing over and over. So check, let's say a equals to 10. If this is true, a is equal to 10, Then we can say else. If it is not true, then print A is not equal to 10, right? So if I run this now, let's see.
Sorry, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Where did you define? You said if check is true. Where did you define true? I don't understand that.
Okay, don't worry. I'm still coming back to this, right? But let me just say this. You can see this line on line 4. I have something here, boolean, and I say the name of my boolean is check. I can say it can be anything. I can say the name of my boolean is read one. It can be anything, but just to make it readable, I say check. So which means I want to check something, and I assign something to it, which is this value on this right. So on this value, I'm saying A is double equals. That is, A is at the same as 10. And here you can see I said A is 10. So this is comparing it, like we have 10 here, like this. 10 is the same as 10. Like, okay, 10, which is A, like A equals to 10 here, is the same as this 10. Or if I say 100, so this is asking, is A, which is 100, is the same as 10? So this is going to return true or false. So yeah, it's going to return false because A, which is 100, is not the same thing as 10. And this check is going to be false. So yeah, if I now run the code, it's going to say, if check is true, run this. But we know check is not true. What can I say? Okay, don't worry. I will explain better now, right? Let me just explain better now. So just hang on, hang in there, right? So let's do something different so that I'll be able to explain very, very well. So let's say we have two integers. We have integer A equals to 4, and we have another integer B equals to, let's say, 30, right? So Boolean results will give you something like, let's say, Boolean results. We want to give it results. So let's say A is greater than B. Like, even without running the code, what do you think this is going to return? Is A, which is 4, sorry, forgive me, this is less than, because it's facing to the left. Is A, which is 4, less than B, which is 30? The answer is true, right? So if we do, so this must return true. Don't let me be printing every time. So let's do another one, which is Boolean. Let's do Boolean result 2. Another result. Let me just do result 2. So if we do A is greater than B, trust me, this is going to return false because A is not greater than B, right? So there is another Boolean operator. If we do, let me be copying this and pasting instead of typing all over again because of time. So if we do result 3 and we do A is less than or equals to B, so this is saying is A less than or equals to B, this is going to return true because A is less than, at least not equals to B, but at least one of this is true. So this is going to return true. So if we do another one, which is A greater than or equals to B, trust me, this is going to return false because A is not greater than B and A is not equals to B. This is going to return false. So if you do another one, if you have any question, I beg, please just ask. So if you do another one, which is what I did here, is A and B the same? So this double sign is comparing both of them, like, is it equals to this value? Don't get it wrong. We have here, which is just one equal sign. One equal sign is assigning. It's an assignment. It is assigning. Like, okay, my mother gave birth to me now, and they want to assign something to me. They want to assign a name to me. They were like, okay, what name can we give him? Let's assign Ridwan to him, right? But if they want to compare, is Ridwan's age the same as his father? The answer is no. So this is assignments, and this is comparison. So please, let's take note of these two so that I won't be making mistakes. You can see this is comparison. So this is on the left, on the right hand side, comparing this. Whatever the result is, it is assigning it to the variable on the left hand side. So I don't know if that is clear. So we have another one, right? So which is A not equals to B, and this is going to return true, right? Because A, this is asking a question. Conditional statement are just like you asking a question, and it's the same thing like, is the aeroplane flying? The answer will be yes or no, depending on the state of the aeroplane, if it is flying or it is just on the ground. Is the motor running? The answer will be yes or no, depending on the state, the condition. So is Ridwan tall? The answer will be yes or no, true or false, depending on my height and what you are comparing it with. So here we are doing comparison. So this is a negation. It's saying like, is A not equals to B? And the answer is true because A is not equals to B, right? So, and we also have some logical operations. We have some logical operations like logical OR. So logical OR is just like, let me do result 7. So it's just like A is greater than B or A is less than B. So this is logical OR, and this is going to be true. The reason why this is going to be true is because in programming, when you are saying or, so far one of the conditions is true, then the statement is true. Is Lagos in Nigeria or Lagos is in USA? The answer is true because Lagos is in Nigeria. That is logical or. So we have the other one which is logical and. So logical and they all have, because I don't want to bore us because it's going to be a very long one if I have to be explaining. But let me just teach us the basics, right? Please, I'm begging you for peace to reign. So this is logical and. This is saying is A greater than B and A less than B. This is going to return false because with the both statements must be true. Ridwan is taller than Miriam and Miriam is taller than Ridwan. It's going to be false because you have to stay on one of them. If one of them is false, then the whole statement is false. If both of them have to be true for the statement to be true, right? So I don't know if that's clear. Is it? Do we have any question before I move forward with conditionals? Hello? Okay.
I don't have questions.
Okay.
I think it's okay for me.
Okay, so let's move to this guy, our guy, the one I said we are going to deal with later. If else. So if else statement is it's pretty straightforward. In Java, you do if condition. Like I said, all the ones I've written above, they are conditions. So if condition, then run whatever that is here. So I don't know if this is clear. So if this condition is true, if condition is true, then run whatever that is here, right? Else run whatever that is here.
So, okay, so this was the part where, because now you wrote condition is true, but when you're doing for check, you just wrote if check. And so I was asking, where did you define the true or the false?
True or not, okay.
Yeah.
So you can now understand the check now. Like instead of check, if I do based on the explanation I've given so far, so if I just do A equals results 100, and I do results 100 here, at least by now you should be able to understand what I mean by result 100 instead of check. So I'm doing comparison like we did here. A is equals to B. Is it true? So this one is saying A1, which is 100, is it equals to 10? The answer here is going to be false. So this one is saying if this condition is true, and we know the condition is false, run this. But normally it's not going to run because this condition is false. It's going to run the next one. So I hope we understand that part now. So going back to my code base, if this condition is false, run this. Else, if the condition is false, then run whatever that is here. I hope we understand now, right? So what else can we do? So okay, let's move forward, right? So that I won't bore us. So let's do something that's in real life. Yes. So let's do something in real life. Let's say we have ints and we have age, or should we do age? Let's say my own age. My age equals to, let's say I'm still a young guy. So my age is 25, and we want to define that in Nigeria, the voting age in Nigeria is 18, right? So let's now use based on the knowledge we've acquired so far. Let's say if my age is greater than or equals to voting age, right? Then let's do something here. Else, if that is a lie, then do something here. So I'll just do some printing out so that we can see what is going to print out based on what we've done. So I'll say if my age equals to Kini, let's say yes, you can vote. Yes, you can vote, right? Else, if that my age is not is less than the voting age, then we can say no, you are an underage. So let me just zoom so that we can see, right? So I'm going to run this code now. Okay, let me comment out this. I don't want to run because if there's anything I hate in this life, it is poverty and Java code errors. I hate both. So let me just run my code. We are inside the file called conditionals. How do I spell conditionals? Then we have to run conditionals. So if I run my code now, what do we get? It said yes, you can vote. So the reason why this is so is because this particular statement here is saying 25 is comparing. What do you save inside this variable? We save 25 in it. So is 25 greater than or equals to voting age? And what is voting age? Voting age is 18. So the answer is yes. But if we do, instead of, let's do 17, let's say I'm underage, and we run this command again, what do we get? It said no, you are an underage. I don't know if this is clear now, right? So that is that about if and else if. So let me give us something pretty straightforward. So instead of you writing this, there's a shorthand. So you can do this instead. You can just say, let's do int can votes. Can we do can votes? Okay, let's do results. Let's do int results equals to is 17 greater than 18, which is a question. If yes, do yes, else do no. This is a shorthand. So what I wrote here, okay, don't let me do this so that it will be easier. Let me do if yes, then system prints something, and if no, print out this yes. I think this is better. So then let me just comment out this, and let's do my age. If anything is not clear, just call my attention to it, then I would oops. So what do we have? Okay, it's not going to run because voting age cannot convert from boolean to okay int. So boolean to int, and sorry, if this what happened, cannot convert from void to boolean. Which one is void? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, let me just do what I wanted to do before. Make I know. So let's do yes or no here. So what do we have here? In the string. Okay, it should be a string. Yeah, sorry. Yes. So we have this now. So this is saying that my result is going to like say 17. So this is pretty straight, just very similar to this. So instead of you having all this line of code, which is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can just do it on a single line, which is the same thing as what is above. This is saying is 17 greater than 18, and you have the question mark, which is saying this is a conditional statement. A question mark, a conditional statement. It's saying is 17 greater than 18, like a question, right? The answer is yes. Or this semicolon means this colon means else no. So it's just like a shorthand and another way to write it. But for someone that is just beginning, it's always advisable that you do it this way, so that when you are going through your code base later, you'll be able to understand what it means, right? So should we do one more example, or we should just move on? Let's just move on to something else. I believe this is clear now. So we are just dealing with the basics. Yeah.
Please, I just want to be sure. This short form of the if-else statement, is this not what they call ternary operator?
Yes, that is it. They call it. You know it. You actually know it. Ternary operator. You know that English, it tick from out. So I don't want to be boring people with a lot of terminologies. So they call it ternary operators. So you can actually Google search it and it's going to bring what it means. So that's just that. But like I said the other time, it's always advisable for someone that is just beginning to write it this way, so that it's going to be easier for you when you are reading it. You know, this is readable, like straightforward. If this is this, then this. Else, then this. So that is how they read conditionals. It's just like, oh, what can I say? If this, then that. Else, then that. So if there is class, then attend class. Else, stay at home. Straightforward, right? So that is conditional statements. It's just based on conditions. If this, then that. Else, something else. So let's move to something else. The other time, if you remember, I said one of the data type. We have different types of data type. We have the primitive and we have the non-primitive. So one of the non-primitive data types is where did I write it? I wrote it somewhere. Primitive and non. Did I mistakenly read non-primitive? I think I wrote it somewhere. Non-primitive, and we have string. We have arrays, what else, and all that. Yeah, don't worry. So let's do something else. Let's create another file. Let's call this arrays.java. And inside my array.java, I can bring in some stuff. Let me bring in this. I don't want to be typing over and over again. So yeah, inside there, yesterday I explained something in Python. I called it list. Yeah, if you still remember, I said list is an ordered collection of items of different data types. So, and the explanation I gave yesterday was that, let's say you are going to the market, you want to go and buy fruits, and Ridwan just sent you some list, like, you know what, I want apples, I want bananas, and all that. You can just list everything down. So in Python, the name implies list, like listing things, you know, collecting things, items together. So in what's it called? In Python, in Java, sorry, we call it array. So in Java, arrays are like objects. So, and they need to be declared, then created. So in order to declare a variable that will hold an array of integers, you can use something like this. It has a rule. Use something like this and give it your variable name. Variable name. So this is how to write an array of integers. So let me just comment here. Array of integers. Array of integers. So the same thing if you want to do for string, you just do array of string, then string name, right? A variable name. So this is array of strings. So like I said, array is just like list. Array in Java is just like list in Python, right? So let's say we want to have array of numbers like I declared here. So let me do it all over again. So I'll just do int, then let's say my numbers, right? I just do my numbers, then I'll do the difference there is just like in Python we are using square brackets, but in Java you are using curly brackets or curly braces. So I do 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0, right? So, and like we did in Python yesterday, you can actually check for the length of this array. So I just want to copy this. I don't want to type. I'm very, very lazy. Okay, so let's say we want to find the length of this array. We want to know how many items are in this array. So how do we do that? What's wrong? I don't know what's wrong with my... Let me just do this. So if you want to find the length, so we are going to do, let's say my numbers dot length, just like we had it with strings. Why do we have this? Cannot revoke length on the type array. Oh, because it's a number, but then it should work. Blah 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 blah. Why cannot invoke length on the array type? Okay, let me do string. I want to check something, like I want to check if there's an error. So let me just do string. Okay, let's do all these are our fruits. Yep, yeah, that's a good way to go. So instead of my numbers, let me call it my fruits. My fruits. Yes. Why? What's going on? Something is wrong. Okay, I'll look into that later. So like I said yesterday, if you want to fetch an item from a list, you have to use the brackets in front. And like I said yesterday, in programming, counting starts from 0. So if you want to count in programming, you start from 0 1 2 3 4 5 6. So that is counting in programming. So if you want to count, that means this apples is in position 0. The first item here is in position 0. Then we have banana, which is in position 1. We have carrot in position 2, and so on and so on. So we have this. So if I want to fetch apples, I'll just do the name of the variable, the name of my array, then the square bracket, and also the position I want to fetch. So let's do this and let's see. So I have to change the name in the terminal. So this is array.java. Then oh no, this is stressful. Array. So oops, cannot find why. Oh, it is arrays, not array. Oh, that's a bug. I did arrays, not array. So yeah, you can see it's fetched apples. So if I want to fetch my orange, I'll do 0 1 2 3. So orange is in position index 3, right? Index 3. So that is that about arrays. Very similar to what we did yesterday, and there are a lot of actions you can perform on this also. So let's just move on to the next one, then we can now do the assignments. So let's talk about loops. So we did them yesterday also. If you check the Python, we did loops yesterday, right? Yes. Okay, yeah, this is it. We did loops yesterday, for loop and while loop. So we are going to do the same thing today. So let me just create another. So let's do loops.java. So inside there, I have to bring this loops.java. Then inside there, so the question is, what are loops? I think I gave us some analogy yesterday. I said loops are repeating tasks that execute multiple times. And I said, for example, let's say you want to withdraw from an ATM, the machine, and you said, okay, I want to withdraw 10,000, and the ATM is to count 1,000 for you. It has to loop through it 10,000 until it is done, until that condition is met. And the condition is count 10. So once it counts 10, it's going to end. So let's see, in Java, there are two kinds of loop. We have the for loop, and we have the while loop. So for loop, it has a way which is different from the way we did it in Python. As you can see, this is how we did it in Python, right? But in Java, if you want to do it, it has a particular way of doing it. So for loop, this is the condition. You have to do you write your for, then depending on the data type, mine is integer I equals to 0. Then don't worry, I'm going to explain everything here. I is less than 3, right? Then I plus plus. Then you open your curly brackets, and inside this bracket, that is where you have to do everything that you need to do. So this loop has 3 main parts. This particular loop, it has 3 main parts. The first part, which is int I equals 0, happens once, and it happens at the beginning of the loop. So you can how can I say it? It happens once, and you can see I have my what's it called here? My semicolon, which means this is just a statement on its own. It is just on its own, right? Then the second part is just like a gate. Yes. So this is saying if it says yes, right, return true. That is, if this is here, you can see it has our condition. It has the less than, like, is I less than 3, which means initially I said this is just going to be the beginning. I is 0 here, and the question is 0 less than 3? The answer is yes, 0 is less than 3, right? So if this is false, if this is, let's say this is 5, is 5 less than 3? No. Then everything stops. This loop stops here. But because I is 0 and 0 is less than 3, this continues, right? So the loop continues. So, and the third part here, which is I plus plus. So this third part is going to happen, is going to occur every time the loop runs. At the end of the loop, every time it runs. So at the end of the loop, this is going to like occur. So based on what we saw now, we can conclude that this loop is going to run 3 times. It's going to run at the 0 time. It's going to run at the 1 time, 2 time. Yeah, 0, 1, 2. Because we are starting from 0, and we are saying for every time I is less than 0, then run this code. So what this code is going to do is, it's going to say int I equals to 0. If int I is equal to 0, then I is less than 3, and which is true, right? It is true because 0 is less than 3, which is true, right? The program is going to 0 is less than 3, then it will tell you inside, enter the loop and run the code. Enter the loop and run the code inside, right? So it will stop, it will do this. Then after doing this, it's going to say, okay, int I is equal to 0, I is less than 0, which is 0 is less than 0, and this is true. Then increment I, and we did it yesterday. Here, you can remember when I said count plus equals to 1, and I meant count plus 1. So this is saying I plus 1, increment I. So it's going to be I plus 1, which is equals to 0 plus 1, and it's going to be 1, right? So once that is done, that is the first part. Once this part is done, the next part is, I is now 1. It will now go back again because it is iterating over it. It will go back again and do, now I equals 1. It will now check, is I less than 3, which is 1 less than 3, and this is true. Enter the loop, enter everything here. Let me say the body of the loop. The body of the loop. Yeah, let me put it this way so that it is understandable. So it will say enter the body of the loop. Enter the body of the loop and run the code inside, right? So this is saying I now is equals to 1. Is I less than 3? Yes, I is less than 3, which is true. Then enter the body of the loop and run the code inside. When you are done, increment I. Now I plus 1 will now be 1 plus 1, which equals to 2, right? So now I equals to 2. It will run again, right? Now I equals to 2. It will now be like, is I less than 3 and 2 is less than 3? If it is true, enter the body of the loop and run the code inside. Now I, which is 2. Sorry, okay, I equals to 1 here. I plus 1, sorry. I plus 1 here, which is 2 plus 1 equals to 3. It will now run the code again, right? And say, is I equals to 3? Yes. Then is I less than 3? I is 3. Is it less than 3? The answer is false. So once the answer is false, end the code. End execution. Let me put it that way. End execution. I don't know if this is clear. So that's why I said this is going to run how many times? 1, 2, 3. Because it's not going to run here because 3 is not less than 3. 3 equals to 3, right? So the loop is done and the code will stop running. The same thing if you want to withdraw 100,000 from the ATM. It counts. If you press 100,000, the machine is going to run. If it has 1,000, the machine is going to run 100 times, and every time it's going to increment. At a point, it's going to be like, I equals to 100,000. Then, is it more than whatever you've imputed? No. Then it will stop running, and that's it. You just collect your money and you go. So that is that about that, right? Let's do for, let's say I have my list of fruits, the one I wanted to do the other time. So let's do it. Let's say we have, let me just cover this. We're not running this. So let's say we have fruits and want to iterate over it. So we have string of fruits. Let me just change this to align with Java syntax. What do we have? So we have string of fruits. What's wrong? Oh, sorry. String array of fruits. Sorry, pardon my. Realize I don't feel sleepy something. So let's run this. We want to iterate over this. So let's run the way I explained the other time, right? So we have to print it out. At least by now we should understand what is going on after this. So let's do for int I equals to 0. Our starting point is 0 because we want to start from index 0, which is apples. Then we do I is less than fruits dot length, fruit dot length. Then we do Oh, I've seen the mistake I made the other time. This is one of the problems of using multiple languages. You know, the other time I was doing length and I was adding this. Length is not a method, actually. It's actually it's a method, but you don't have to call it. If you remember, the other time I was doing, you can see it. Where is it said?
I wanted to ask you that what method does not length follow.
Sorry, realize I don't feel sleep. It's small Jerry. So, yeah, what we are doing here is we are saying we are starting from 0. We are telling our program to start counting from 0, and we are now saying for every I, check if I, whatever it is at that particular time, check if it is less than the length of the fruit, and we know the length of this fruit will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The length is going to be 6. So we are now saying for every time I is less than 6, increment I and run whatever code that is here. So let's print out the fruits. So what we are printing out here is we are now saying print out fruit I. So if I is 0 here, print out fruit 0, which is index of 0, then increment I. By now I equals to 1. Check 1, is it less than the length of this fruit? Yes, it's less than the length of the array. If it is less than it, then print this out, then increment this until it reaches 1, 2, 3, 4. It reaches 6. So when it reaches 6, okay, let's just do this. I have to print out both I so that we know what is happening at every time. So let's run this code and let's see what is going to happen. So we have loops. What's the time? 10:13. So if we run this now, let's see. You can see it's ran multiple times and it stopped. So why this is happening is because it's going for the first time. We are starting with 0. It says, okay, is 0 less than the length? And the length of Kini is what? Okay, let me just print out the length also so that we'll know. Let's do fruit length. So I'll just do length of the fruits array. Length of the fruit array is okay, length of the fruit array. Okay, let me just do plus. Length of the fruit array is okay. Should we do it? No, let's do plus. Okay, so length of the fruit array, then we are saying index. Okay, let me just do index here also so that we'll know. I just want us to know what exactly is happening. Index I, then we have fruit here. Okay, so let me just do this again. So you can see the length of the fruit array is 6 and we are starting with 0. So it's now saying index I equals to 0. Is 0 less than 6? Yes. Increment 0, which is 1, then print all this. After printing this, if we start from 5, let's start from I equals 5, because in most examples online you'll be seeing 0, 0. You'll not be like, maybe it's just the norm. It depends on what you set. If you set 5, I'm expecting it to just print 1. You can see we are starting from 5, so it's now checking initially is 5 less than 6? The answer is yes. Then print whatever that is here, then increment it, which is 5 plus 1 equals 6. It will now go back again. Is 6 less than 6? No. Then stop running. That's just what it is, right? So I hope you understand, because I don't know, like, so let's go to the next one, which is while loop. So we just finished treating for loop.
I really want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So first of all, I think the timer, we have a few minutes for the call to end. 7 minutes. Then the second thing is the terminal.
Then let me share my screen. Okay. So back to your question. Let me know if you can see my screen. So back to your question, you said what's the code I'm using to run this thing, right?
Yes, the terminal. You know, you're entering all those Java.
You're calling terminal like our lecturer.
So all those you're entering Java.
Okay. So the Java, thing is, for you to run a Java program, you have to take 2 steps. You have to take 2 steps. So the first step will be, step 1 will be compile, because you have to compile the Java program using javac, then name of file .java. So that's the first step. The second step is you have to run the compiled code using Java, then name of file. Yeah. So if you check my terminal, let me just zoom that out. Okay. So if you check my terminal, I'm doing the two together. Java loops. So this is the same thing as running Java first, then waiting for it to load, then me now typing Java loops, then run it and press enter again. So I'm doing it together at once. There is something in command line. I run codes in the command a lot. So like I said, I'm one of those lazy programmers. So I love to chain. So this is called chaining commands. So I'm chaining. I can chain a lot of commands here, then chain together. So this is going to say run this command that is here, once this is done successfully, then run this command. Once this is done successfully, run this command. So I'm telling the computer to run all these commands one after the other. So that's why I'm just chaining them together instead of me running them one after the other. So I'm just doing it at once. So anytime I need it, I just come press arrow key on my keyboard, then press enter, and it's run. I don't know if you understand that.
Oh, okay. I got that now. But there's some IDs that are just I don't know, they run the compile in the background and they just show you the result.
So because I'm using a text editor, which is Visual Studio Code, and like I said, I'm not doing something that is very heavy. So in a normal day, I would have, I actually downloaded one of them, but I haven't used it. I downloaded, what's the name? JetBrains. Yes, I think I downloaded JetBrains, but I haven't used it. IntelliJ or something, but I haven't used it. And there is Eclipse too, so I haven't used them, but you can look into those. Presently I'm using Visual Studio Code, and it allows me to run this command over and over again. So different environments, they have their own different rules, just like America have their own rules, Nigeria have their own rules. But if you have the Kini, just download the IDE for the program and you are good to go. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Thank you. And maybe you teach us all your shortcuts too, because I see you're using some shortcuts too.
No, the shortcut I'm using,
enter your comments and the rest.
Yeah, I explained when we started. I said, I did. Okay. I think I started with comments. Yeah, this is comments. And I said you can press for comments. Let me just add it for comments. Press, depending on what you are using, press Control, then plus / If it is Mac, because I use Mac, then I press Command plus / So this is going to highlight. So for example, let's say I have written something here and I need to comment it. I'll just press Command Kini and we are good to go, right? So that's just the shortcuts. So shall we proceed?
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So we ended where? Okay, for loop. So we've done for loop. Let's do while loop. So yesterday I explained the reason why you might not want to use while loop in your programming. Sometimes it can introduce some bugs, right? And sometimes, like yesterday now, I said if I had I said count equals to 0 while count is less than 5, continue this program. What did I say yesterday? Okay, and increment it. But doing that, I remove this increment, or probably my condition is while let's say while 5 is greater than, if I do while 5 is greater than count, because forever 5 will always be greater than 0. This will continue running until the time comes when 5 is not going to be it's not going to be greater than 0, which is not possible. Forever 5 will always be greater than 0. So this will continue running forever. So sometimes if you do not, like if your body is not calm and you're using while loop, you might run into problems. For example, let's say you have a banking application and people wants to withdraw. So Ridwan wants to withdraw, and you wrote in your program that while Ridwan's balance is what's it called? Or while 0 is less than Ridwan's balance, then let him withdraw. So far I still have 0.1 in my balance, I'll keep withdrawing. So sometimes it can bring some bugs into your code base. So that's why you see in a lot of codes, you see them using for loops a lot. And we have different types of for loops. We have the for each and all that, but that's just for another day. So let me just take us through the while loop. So while loop. So in while loop, how do we run while loop? If you remember, I said in for loop, we are going to, it has a condition, which is this condition, right? But in while loop, it's very similar but different. So how is it different? In while loop, you do while, let me just write it out. You do while, then condition. While this condition is true. While this condition is true, then run the code here. So, sorry, excuse me, this is it. So while this condition is true, run this code here. So using yesterday's example, right? So we can just, let's declare something out. Let's say our int count equals to 0, and we now say while 5, don't let me run into problem. While count is less than 5, then do what? Let's print something out. Let's print out counts. Let's print out counts. So while 5, then let's do counts. Let's increment counts, right? So that we have a condition. So let's do counts plus 1, like we did yesterday, plus equals to 1, right? So if we do this now, the program is going to run every time until this condition is satisfied. Until this condition is satisfied. So if I do, where are my loops? If I do this now, what do we get? It's running 0, 1, 2, 3, and it can be anything. I can start from 2. If I start from 2 and I run the program again, it's going to start from 2. So for every time, it will print this and increment, and that's it. So that is, then we have another loop, which is do while loop. We have do while loop. So I'll just write out the syntax. It's just like do something that is here while this condition is true. While condition is true. So there's a difference between this do while loop and while loop. So in while loop, in do while loop, it has to perform the operation first without even checking the condition. It will just say drive your car, or let me say it will say bring out your umbrella while it is raining. But that means you would have brought out your umbrella already before the condition is true or not. Whether it's raining or not, at least that particular code is going to run. But in while loop, it's first check the condition. While it's just like while it is raining, bring out your umbrella. It's just like you are putting the cart before the horse versus putting the horse before the cart. So I hope you understand that part. So let's just move on because it's getting late already. We are very close. I think we just have one last thing to explain and we are done. Then we can now move to the assignments proper, right? So what do we, okay, yeah, this is very important. We did it in Python yesterday. So let's call it, can we call it method? Let me say func method.java, because function is a, method is a reserved name. So in Python, I did something yesterday, which is, I called it, okay, these are class assignments. Functions, yes. So functions are reusable blocks of code that perform specific tasks. So like I said, like I gave an analogy yesterday, I said functions are just like, they're just like a component that performs a particular task. For example, you have your charger. The only function of your charger is to charge your phone. It cannot do any other thing, but you can use it over and over and over again to charge many phones and many times. So that's a function. You have your cup. Your cup cannot do any other thing. Your cup cannot fly from here to America, but it can hold water. So which means it can perform holding of water over, and you can reuse that cup over. For example, you have your spoon. The function of the spoon is to pick food from the plate into your mouth, right? So you can reuse that spoon for the same task, specific task, over and over again. But the question is, how do you know it's a spoon? If you want to call Ridwan, Ridwan, if you're coming from the kitchen, bring something for me. I'll just be looking at you like, bring something. What do you mean by bring something? But if you call that name, bring a spoon for me, I'll say, oh, you want a spoon? I'll just reach out to it and I'll give you the spoon and it's perform the function and you are good. So that is why I explained yesterday that if you are defining a function, it must have a name, so that if you want to call it later, you can refer to it like, oh, I'm calling spoon, or yeah, come and perform something for me. So in Java, we call functions methods. They are called methods. In other programming languages like JavaScript, like Python, you call them functions. But in Java is just on its own, in its own word. We call them methods. So, and methods, all method definitions must be inside a class, right? So let me just copy our friend that we've been copying since, because I don't want to retype. Hey, lazy guy. So they have to be defined inside a class. Like this now, this main is a method and it is defined inside this class, right? So, and here, you can pass data here. We call these ones arguments. You can say arg, arguments. Arguments, right? So you can pass arguments into a method. Somebody wants to say something? Okay, so you can pass arguments into a method. So arguments are just like data that you are passing in, but don't worry, I'm going to show you examples. Then I've explained why we use method. It's just for us to have a reusable code. So you define your code inside a method and you can use it as many times as possible. So let's say okay, let me just explain this all over again for people that are just coming. So public here means that anywhere in your code base, this particular method can be accessed. This is what public means. And we have, okay, let me just define another method so that instead of using main over and over again, let me just do my method. Yeah, this is my method. Yeah. So public here means this code can be accessed. This my method can be accessed anywhere in your code base, right? And this my method is the name of your method. Then static here means that the method belongs to the main class, right, and not an object. So which means we can call the method from different classes. So if you want to call this method in another class, you just do func method dot my method. So you can call it like this in another class, but because we are still in the same class, so that's why it's still showing that error. So then void means that this method does not return any value, right? So this our method has an argument, but it's not compulsory you have arguments with every time. You can have your method like this. So this my method is saying that, this method is not getting any arguments. So, but you can pass as many arguments as possible into your into your method. And if you want to call a method, like you want to call the name of the method, you just write the name of the method and parentheses, just like this. Oh, yeah, because I'm still here. Yeah. So I'll just do my method. Then you call it just like this. So this is how to call a method. We did it yesterday when we are calling this guy greets, which is a function. Then always make sure you have your semicolon. This is very important because now you are in Java environment and you have to do things the Java way, right? And what else can we do? Let's do some. We've been doing it already, but let's do something. Let's print something out. So if you want to print something out, like we've been doing, just use your system outline, which I've explained earlier on, so that I won't bore us with another this means this and this means that. So you can just do, you can call this and say I am a new method. Yeah, you can print this out and all. So this is going to get executed. So what else can we do? Okay, let's make this method to okay, let's call this method. Let's see. So if I do my method, so this is how to call the method. I'm calling this method inside the main method. So let's run something and let's see. So we are now in func method file, func method.java. Then here I have to do func method. Am I recording? Yes. I have to do func method. So if I run this code now, let's see, you can see. So what is printing? So this is going to, like, this is our main method. And whenever you run this file, the first thing is it has to go into the main method, then check, oh, what do you have inside this main method? We have my method. Oh, you have my method. So what are you doing with it? Okay, you are calling it. Okay, so the program will now be like, let me go inside my method. It's not go inside like, okay, what do you have here? You have system. So you can actually call my method as many times as you want because it is reusable, right? I'm calling it as many times. So if I execute this code now, we are going to see what you see. It's saying we call it as many times as possible. So the other time I talked about arguments, right? So let's make our method to accept, or let me write another method so that we just leave this method the way it is. So let's say my method, let's say call my name. Yes, call my name. We are giving it this, call my name, and string is going to accept first name. Let's say first name, and here we are saying let's do I. Let's do I plus first name. So this is going to call my name. So let's call this method. So I'm going to delete this. If I want to call this method, I'll just say call my name, because this is expecting an argument, right? It's expecting an argument of what? An argument of string. So I can just do read one here. So if I do read one here, I'm calling this method, right? So the next thing is, let me run this code and see. Why do I have this? What's wrong? Inserts to complete the method. I don't understand. What's this saying? Oh, I mistakenly deleted something. So let me just run this code now. You see, it's calling my name. So you can reuse this a couple of times. Let's reuse it. Let's put $ here. Okay, I know why my text editor is actually helping me. I think it is IntelliSense. So it's telling me what this particular stuff is expecting. So this is not part of the code. It's just like an int. So I think I have the, what's it called? I have the extension that does that in my code base. So there's an extension called IntelliSense. So that's what it's doing. So I'm saying this because of the person that asked the question the other time. So let's call this. You can call this as many times as possible. So let's say I want to call another person's name. Let's say I want to call Tunde. Don't worry, these are the names coming to my head right now. So if I run this code, you can see the code is reusable. I'm reusing it for anybody. I don't know if you understand. So that is how, and also you can pass multiple parameters, multiple arguments into this, right? Then can we now say, let's run a code with our else if, so that, okay, let's check that in here again.
Please,
yeah.
Wait. This is my method. This was my method that you called.
Yes.
That method is something supposed to be inside now, or can it just be blank?
Yes, I explained. That's why I had to do it in two different ways. It can be blank. Yesterday when I was talking about this, I don't know if you are in this session yesterday, I said, see functions like a mold, like a template. For example, you have a block industry, right? And you want to create as many blocks as possible from one single mode. I don't know how to, what else? Let me put it that way. So you want to create block from multiple mode. So if it's not going to, your mode is not going to be customizable, then you can just leave it. You don't have to pass anything. Because I want this to be customizable, right? That's why I say call my name should be accepting a name so that you can customize it. And you can see it in the result here. It is customized to the name given to them. But because I don't want it to be customizable, I just want it to print something for me, and that's it, right? So just print something for me and just move on. So it is not compulsory that you must pass an argument into it. It's not compulsory at all. But if you want to make it receive something that you can process later, then fine. Let's say you have a method that calculates CGPA. That one, you can just write your method and call it calculates CGPA, right? And here it can accept a lot of things. The first thing is maybe matric number, right? Matric. The second thing is the score. You can do score, and the score can be, let's say score is int. The next thing is what else? Matric number, score, total units. Total units can be int, total units. So if you just define this, you can reuse this multiple times for many students and for many many reasons, right? Because so the only thing you just need is for you to pass in the matric number, the score, and total units, and you run your code there. If you want to do calculation, maybe you want to do score plus total units or divide by total units and all and all. So, but if the thing is not performing any customized operation, just leave it. Like say, let's say you want to calculate how many cars that pass through a toll gate, and you don't want to customize, just calculate. You know, the code will just be running without any arguments. I don't know if I'm able to do justice to that, right? But for peace to reign, we can just move on because time is fast spent. So, what is a method? What's it called? Let's create a method with our with what we learned. Let's do. Can we do can vote? Yeah, so that we do the voting stuff that we did the other time. So we can just say this is going to accept an int of age, and after accepting the int of age, let me just look for that thing the other time we did. I don't want to be writing over and over again. Okay, yeah, this is it. Yeah. So this is it. Let me just copy this and let's come back to this and say this and this. So in our let me just do age. Yeah, let me just do my age, voting age, and all that. So we have this, and this is a method. And let's say you have this beavers, or what's it called, that checks if people can vote or not, right? You can actually run this, and you can run it as many times as possible. I can just do can vote, and in each stuff I can just do passing. If I pass in 18 here, this one in return can vote. If I pass in, let's pass in 7, let's pass in 15. Can this guy vote? Let's do another one. Let's say 80. Let's do another one. Let's say 18. Okay, we've done 18. Let's say 12. So if you run this particular code, let's see what is going to come out. Yeah. So I have this couple of times. Let's say we have 100 people and you want to run that code for them at once. You can see we have the first one that says yes, can vote because the age is 18, and we have another one, no, you are underage because the age is 15. We have another one that says yes, you can vote because the age is 80, and we have another one that says no, you are underage because the age is 12. So I hope we are able to understand what this means, so that we move on to the last part. Then we can move to our assignment, and we can call it a semester. So the next one I'll be talking about is packages, and after this I think we are done. Yeah, we are done. Not I think, but can I call it packages? User inputs. Let's do user inputs because that's what we did yesterday also with our Python, right? Let me check. Yes. So I'm actually trying to follow through with what we have, replicating what we had yesterday. So we have user inputs. So in Python yesterday, we're able to ask for inputs from users, and we're able to manipulate the data. So let's say, like I said, let's say you are the owner of Facebook and you want people to log in with password and their username. You want to give them something whereby you want to ask them some questions. For example, what is your username? They input it, then the next thing, what is your password? They input it, then based on those data, you can now manipulate and do some stuff, and you allow them to log in. And upon logging in, you just say, hi, Ridwan, welcome to Facebook. Hi, Ridwan, welcome to GT Bank, right? So you want to ask users for inputs, right? So here, let's talk about something called packages. So let me just copy our guy again, like we've always been copying. Yep. So let's talk about packages before we move on, because we are going to be needing them in this. Same way we use packages, libraries yesterday in Python. So in Python, they call them library. In Java, yeah, they call them packages. Then we have libraries and all that. So what are packages? Java comes with a set of predefined packages that offer some functionalities. So the packages are reusable. Yeah, I defined some things there and I want to be using them because this is me using all this. But Python comes with some packages like you can just use out of the box. One of them is this system.out.println. It's a package. Can I say package or library or something? But well, for the sake of this session, just see it like it's a package. So it allows, or it is a built-in stuff, like we just use it to perform some functionalities. The same thing with packages. They allow us to perform some things, right? And if you want to they are inbuilt, and if you want to use them, you have to import them in first. Then after importing, then you can now use them. So how do you import a package? You just have to do import, then the package, then the name, and then the class. Yeah, and you're good. Then this is going to import just a single class. Let me do import a single class. Import a single class, right? Then you can now reuse it. So let's import something. So here we want to request for user inputs. So if you want to request for user input, there is a package that comes with Java that you can use. It is called scanner. So they call it scanner. So scanner class allows you to request for user inputs, and we can now use it for some other things, right? So how do we do that? We have to import something. So if you want to import, you import at the beginning of the file, at the top of the file. Let me put it that way, because you can import a lot of things. So let's say we want to import java.util, which stands for utility, then scanner. So we want to import scanner. So I've imported scanner, and how do we use it? So let's say we have this main stuff. I'll just do scanner my let's do my inputs. Should we do my inputs? Let's do my inputs equals to, then you have to instantiate it, which is scanner, then you do system, which we've done the other time, system.in. If you remember, the other time we did system.out, and I said out can be, a short form of outputs, and we are saying print line, which is print line. So here we are doing system.in, which is inputs. It's pretty straightforward. So let's print again, so that we'll see what we are inputting and what is coming out. So let's do what can we do? Okay, sorry, let's do this first, because we have this scanner. Let's do enter. What did we do yesterday? Enter username. Yeah. So let's do enter username. Now we did here. So let's do enter username. Right. So if we do enter username, then we have to read that particular thing we are asking for, the inputs. You can now say username equals to my inputs dot next line. So this is going to read. It's going to read the user inputs. Then after that, we can now do system dot out dot print line. Then let's print out again. Why? Let's do username is, then concatenate username. Yep. So let's run this code and let's see what it's going to give us. My throat is dried up. User inputs. Then let's run user inputs here also. So after this, trust me, we'll move on to the assignments. I will break it down. Then we do it. User inputs. Yep. Oops. Oh, user inputs in plural. What's wrong with me? Yes. Yeah, this is saying enter. My username is readbay. I press enter, and it gives something back. Username is readbay. So which means this is working the way we expect it to work. So with our newly found knowledge, we can actually go into the assignments and do it. So let me just go straight. Then afterwards, we can be asking questions. The one I can answer, I'll answer. The one I can't, I'll give up. So let's do.
Sorry, Ridwan, please, before you leave this page. Sorry, I'm taking you a bit backward.
No
please,
problem.
What is that function you called for next line?
Okay, I'm coming. Let me go back for next line. This
Yes,
one,
when
right?
you did my input.next line, you called the next line, then you put a method or function. The line 9.
Line 9. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you have my input.next line. What is
Yes.
that? There's a next line. I don't know what that is.
Yes. So thank God for my Visual Studio Code. I over on this and it brought what next line means. So this is it. Advancing clinical. It's a long one actually. So since this method continues to search through the inputs looking for a line separator, it might buffer up, blah 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 blah. But I think I don't know if I need to explain it. So this method returns the rest of the current line, excluding any line separator at the end. There is one thing after what's it called? I input. Let me run the code again. So the code is going to ask me for my username, right? Which is this line 8. Enter your username. So when I enter my username, which is readbay, it's not going to do anything until I press enter. On a normal day, if you're in a document and you press enter, it goes where? It goes to the next line. So this is telling it like the action we are expecting is a next line action. At least I'm just using my terminal. It might be different in that English. So it's saying like the action the system is expecting is next line action, which is me pressing enter on my keyboard like this. Next line.
Okay, got it.
So I'm pressing enter. So this is saying it's just expecting like whatever input I do and it is next line, then capture it and see it as if that's the last action I want to take, then print it out. So yeah, I've done readbay now. So on my keyboard I have to press enter, which is next line. So it brought this.
Sorry, so if that next line is not there, it won't go through.
Let's try it. So let's do no next line. Baba is even shouting already. So type in I cannot convert from scanner to string. Yeah, because we initiated this scanner to string. So we have to use that next line to read it. Yeah.
Okay, I got it. It needs to understand what action
exactly.
to pick up your input. Okay.
Yes.
What about the X you put there? Can we use enter name without that X thing?
I've explained the other time. It is just my code. My code is just it is my Visual Studio code. I installed something and it's giving me an highlight. So for example, I think I did it here. Where was that? Function method. Yeah, I think I was calling. I'm coming. Where did I call some? Can you remember? I called some. Was it not function methods? Like I was calling. Okay, my name. Yeah. Okay, call my name. So see this. If I wait, can you see something? It automatically changes. It's telling me that what should be here. It is my Visual Studio Code. I think I installed some extensions to help me when I'm programmed so that I will know what is next. So in your own text editor, you might not see this because I have a lot of extensions installed. So it's telling me, you can see, call my name. It's telling me like you have something. It's expecting the first name. So put your first name here. Not give me the right time. Now my Visual Studio Code they do that. You can see it automatically changes. Now my Visual Studio Code though, not mind it. So you can see this one now. It will change to first name. So it's just my Visual Studio Code. So you don't have to do that.
Okay, I get it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So shall we proceed to the assignment now, or do we have any other question?
To the assignment.
Because that's why we are here. Okay, so let's straight to the assignments. So the assignment is telling us that what we did yesterday in Python, we have to convert it to Java. So this is the assignment from Python, and I've explained everything yesterday about this. So how do we convert these assignments to Java based on the understanding we've had? So like I said the other time, we have our class here. You can give it any name. So mine, I'm just giving it as it can be anything. It can be your name. It can be your, whatever, right? Then we have the main method here, which is the entry point into this particular Java application, right? Into this particular file, this particular class. So this is the main entry point, and you have to, for every Java file that you create, you must have a main method, right? And inside this our main method, what we are expecting based on the assignment, we are expecting users to input these three values. So which means from the last thing we did scanner, right? And we can, let's just call it scanner, equals to new scanner, right? New scanner. Then we are doing inside the new scanner, what are we doing? We are expecting.
So before you go further, that var in the previous ones, I noticed we used ask something here. That string, that public, that after that main.
Okay.
So why are we using this instead of that? Is it argument? Yeah.
Let me change it. I think it's my father automatically does that. But let's just leave it. It also.
Will that one also work?
Yeah, it should work. It should. Let's just give it another name. Let's do var. Or let's do it on. But will it work? Yeah, it will work. So it's just there. So what this is saying is that if you remember, it's expecting, this is a variable name, and it's a string of what's it called? Array of strings. So if you go back to array, like I explained the other time, see, if when we wanted to define, we did the variable name and we give it array, which is we give it array, which is array of strings. The same thing we did with integers, variable name, then array of integers. So the same thing is happening here. You can give it anything you want. Here I'm saying the variable name is read1, and it's going to be an array of strings, right? So that is that about that. So we can move on. So from the explanation I gave in the last session, I said if you want to request for user input, we use this Java what's it called package, which is scanner. So we are using scanner to collect data from the user, and the next thing is we want to print something out that we want the users to see. So let me just copy this. So I'll just do this instead of it. I'll just do like we did yesterday. I'll do enter value of a, like we did yesterday. Enter the value of a. Then whatever the value of a is here, I want to store it into a. So this is going to be scanner dot next. Can we do next line? Yeah, we can. Dot next. But let's try something. There's another method on scanner which is next int. So next int is saying we are scanning for integers. We are expecting users to input integers. So somebody asked a question yesterday, like instead of we casting here, can't you just ask for integers? I think this is going to answer your question, right? So, but don't worry, I'm going to like comment on all of this so that we can all understand. Then what is the next thing we want to do? We've collected A from users and we've input it inside A. So let's do for B also, right? So if you want to do for B, just copy this and let's return it back. So print value of B. I'll just change something so that it can be faster, and I'll just do B. Then the next thing is we want to prompt users for C. So enter the value of C, then C equals whatever value that we get back. Then we move to this stage, which is this equation, right? So we just do quadratic. Tomorrow, by His grace, I will take my time to comment on all of this. So we just do the equation, and in Python we didn't put any key, it already knows automatically. So here, but we have to do int d equals to, so this is b raised to power 2. In Python we can just do b times b, which is the same thing as b raised to power 2 minus 4 times a times c. Yep. So what next? We have to compare. based on our knowledge of using conditional statements, let's run something. So like what we have here, we are doing if D is greater than 0, then perform some actions here, right? If it's greater than 0. Else if D is equals to 0, then perform some actions here. Else perform some actions here. So let's go back in. So we are now saying if, let me just copy the code here, then we convert it to Java. So here we are saying this is going to be, we don't know, it should be double. I think it can be decimal. So let's do double x minus. So instead of, we have what's it called, a math function on Java also, just like we did for Python. So we do math dot square root d, then we can now do what's it called, this. Then we say we are expecting a double here also, then math dot square root of d, then here. So what else? Then we are now saying print out some things. So in Python, this is how to print, but in Java it is different. Life can be hard, you know. So let's just change this to what we have in Python, because I want it to be the same, right? So let's just do this. Let's do plus, yeah, because we are concatenating. Then we are doing for x2, then we are doing for, at least by now people will be like, oh, this thing is not hard, right? Then we have the next one, which is real roots. So we are done with the first one. So the second one is this, right? So it's almost the same thing. So I'll just copy this and I'll do, what are we expecting? We should be expecting an int or a double, but let's do a double. Then we are saying minus b, blah, blah, okay. So what else? We are printing out some stuff, right? So what are we printing out? x1 equals to x1, no, equals to x. Then what else? x2 equals to x also. Then this is equal roots. So it's not that hard. So then our else, which we have here, is just to print out imaginary roots, and we are done. And the assignment is set. Low button, imaginary roots, and that's it. Boom. So after we've done this, what is left is we have to close the scanner so that it will free up spaces, right? It will free up memory spaces in our system. So let's do close, and we are done. Assignment is done. But I have something pointing out. Okay, I have to use. Yep. So this is the assignment. So let's run this code now in assignment and let's see. What was it? Assignment. So we brought in all the knowledge that we've had so far. So you can see it asks for input of A, I did 1. Input of B, let's do 23. Input of this, I did 1 again. You can see it's running, and we have our assignment. Don't cook like that. I don't know if you are able to see my screen and you understand what is happening. So,
boss, thanks a lot. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It works, Abby.
Okay. So in this case now, how are we going to submit the output?
So from what Barry posted, we had to do a screenshot of this, your terminal here. You do a screenshot of your results here. Then you copy this Java code or something and send it to the lecturer. That's what I can share the instruction actually. But I just want to plead with us, right? You know, a normal day, it's an assignment, which means it has to be individual. But at the end of the day, imagine everybody submitting the same thing, the same code. Nothing has changed. So which means you can, when you are doing your own assignments, using this as a guide, you can change the name of your class. You can change some other things there, you know, just to make it different, so that it won't be like, you guys just use somebody's code and just submit. You get, even my own assignment, I don't need like this because I was rushing because I need to submit. But then I go submit. But you know me, Gary. So I think that to the session. Do we have any questions?
I think the man just wants us to just be interested in this study, because this assignment has actually brought me closer to Java.
Yes.
And so, sir, thank you so much for your So what I want to say is that this one here, for someone who is not familiar with Java before, I don't think a first tutorial will get you that stage where you get. So it's still a continuous process. It's still you still have to work on board. Then this, for the sake of our school, of our class, I don't know if you're familiar with the master's book.